Well, hello everybody. Danny back from Pecan Grove out here on the Farmall Cub restoration. I had a subscriber ask for me to show taking the top of the transmission plate and shifter off and show what and how to do it and how to put it back. It's not going to be very long here. I've already taken the bolts out of it because I didn't figure y'all need to see me sit here and take all the bolts out of it. There's only 8 bolts, so I figured that's no big deal. So we've got them out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera down, and we're going to show taking the top off of it. Now the first thing you want to do is put your transmission in neutral, because once you do that, that creates a square down inside that transmission for your shifting fork to sit in top of your shifting forks. And you shouldn't have any problem when it comes time to put it back on if you put it back in neutral, rather than having it stuck in a gear somewhere. So make sure your shifter is in neutral. Alright, we have the shift lever here. Now remember the PTO plate here that I was telling you about? This PTO plate here, you need to lay it down on something flat and hammer this side here out flat, because there's a tiny hole in the top of this right here. Beside your bolt hole, there's a little pin that sticks up on that top plate. That's what keeps this thing from, when you're moving your PTO, from shifting around and whacking it on there. So take your hammer and kind of flatten that out, and make sure you get that pin to fit up in that really, really good. Now we're going to lay that to the side. I don't think this gasket's going to be stuck because mine was leaking. Oh, okay, it's coming off. There we go. Now let me wipe this off right here, and I'll kind of show you. It's a little dirtier than I thought it was going to be. Ooh, it is nasty. Well, I'm glad I did take it off. I'm going to take this out in a minute and spray it out with some cleaner and get some of this trash out of it. But right now, I'm trying to wipe some of this out of here. I'm trying to show you something here. All right, you see the top of this right here? What I was talking about is make sure this little pin sticking up right here is in the center. See, you got like an H pattern here in that. Make sure it stays in the center of it, and you'll be okay. You see this little square system I was talking about right here? That little pin that I showed you on the shifter there sticking down goes down inside this here. If you have it in neutral, that is where it will sit. Now if you put it over here and shift it forward, then you got to try to get that thing back over there and get it back in that, which is very difficult. Or if you've got it shifted backwards, same with this side here. Both sides move backwards and forwards. Put it in neutral, and you should be able to drop it right down in between them there, and you shouldn't have any problems. Now the next issue I'm going to do here is I've got to clean this thing up, because this looks really, really bad. It is really nasty. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if there's even a... You know what, guys? There's not even a gasket on this thing. No. There's not a gasket on this. And there's not a gasket on the top one either. No wonder mine was leaking. Wow. No gasket. Maybe that's what's wrong with y'all's, is there's no gasket in it. Boy, look at all this. Look at all this stuff here. Look at all that junk there coming up out of that. Looks like where the dog's been to the bathroom. Oh my goodness. I am really glad I took this apart now. This thing is some kind of nasty on the inside. I don't even know what this is. Wow. It looked like old hard grease. It's almost like somebody put grease out of a grease gun in it. That's what it looks like and resembles. Let's look on this side over here. Yep. Guys, I'll be doggone. I've never seen anything. That looks like grease out of a grease gun. Ain't that something? Wow. Now all the gears and everything down in there looks pretty good. I'll tell you what I'm going to do here. I am going to pull the plug out of the bottom of this thing. And I am going to take some carburetor cleaner, brake cleaner, whatever I've got over there. And I'm going to spray all this junk out of here. And I'm going to try to let it run out the bottom into a pan down there. Because that, well, I don't know, I hate to get it all down in my gears because the gears is all clean. I may just take some time here and try to sit up here and take rags and clean this up. And I just can't believe there ain't no gasket on it. That just blows my mind. I'm going to show you in a minute when I get through with this another way that yours can leak. And you'll understand it once I show it to you. I learned this on some heavy equipment I was operating one time. We couldn't figure out why. We put new gaskets and we done everything and it still leaked around it. And come to find out there was one simple little solution. Took care of all of it. Let me show you what I discovered here. I'm going to try to see if I can get this up here. You see that little old vat thing down in there with that hole? This was solid up to the top with nothing but just looked like grease. That hole is what oils that front bearing. This thing has a channel created around it right here. And that channel, I wish I could put this light somewhere where it would, maybe I can do it that way. Back over here on this side, see that hole right there? That's what oils the back bearing. As this transmission slings oil up in here, it runs down through this little trough right here. It runs right around the edge and runs down and oils that bearing. And it runs around over here. It's not going to focus with my finger in there. I can see that. But anyway, you get the gist of it. You look down in there. I get the light back where we can see. See that hole in there? All of this was clogged completely, probably a ½ an inch deep in just solid gunk. All this around through here. You couldn't even tell that was a channel. And I had no idea them holes was there until I was spraying and cleaning. What I did was I crammed rags all down in this transmission down in here where the rags would catch any trash that came out of this thing. And I started spraying it out. And when I went looking, I saw them holes and I stuck the spout down in there and sprayed them and junk come all out of them holes. And I got them opened up now where the oil can go down to the bearings. That right there is reason enough to take your top off your transmission and just look to see if that is cleaned out. That's probably the reason right there more bearings go out in the front and rear of these transmissions is because that little vat area right around there is not kept clean. Because see, when I pulled the top off, I had no idea it was even there. And you can see the rags right here. These are the rags. I got all those rags right there are just caked and piled up with debris out of just this right here. Now I'm fixing to take this outside and I'm fixing to spray and clean it all up because only the Lord knows what I'm going to find in this right here. I'm going to get this all cleaned up. We're going to get a gasket and we're going to see if we can't get this baby back together. Alright, I just spent some major time cleaning up this right here. This thing was nasty, nasty, nasty. Not only was it nasty, it was actually, I had to take a ball peen hammer and straighten it out because somebody had tightened the bolts down and had warped and, you know, dimpled it in real bad and everything. So that might be something you might want to check also, is to make sure this plate is, you know, square all the way around it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this gear oil gasket maker around this thing here. And I'm going to put it on this right here. Because if it's going to leak, I don't think it would be against the hard metal surface of the tractor. I have a feeling if there was going to be any leakages, it would be on this thin metal top right here. I feel like that would be where it would leak. And I'm going to tell you what, this gasket stuff here, you don't even really have to have a gasket with this stuff. I mean, this stuff right here is some good stuff. I have used this for years and years. Back when we were in the logging industry, I worked on a lot of diesel equipment then, and this is what we went to. This was our gasket maker here. This stuff works miracles here. And you don't need much of it, just a little thin light coat like that. Now this gasket is directional. It will only go on here one way, and I got to figure out which way it is. There we go, just like that right there. It won't go but one way. And I'm gonna stick it down on here. And we're going to talk here in just a minute about another way I learned that you can lose grease out around the tops of these things. It ain't just this. Okay, now we want to put the shift lever back in the center of the H pattern. See how it's in the center of it there? Because down here in our transmission, you find where we're at there. See if I can get this pulled up a little bit for you guys. We want to make sure that this shift lever goes right back in the center of this here, because this is still in neutral. So we want to take it, and you can lean it over, you can look into it, you can see that ball right when it goes down in that. It'll fall right down in it. There's actually nothing to it. Now, I cleaned up all of the bolts and everything. And guys, all these bolt holes in the tops of this transmission here, they go all the way down in to where grease in the transmission's at. Grease in the transmission can come back up through these holes right here and actually come back out around this right here and can seep around it. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a little bit of this gasket maker stuff, and I'm going to stick it around every one of them holes. And we'll come back and wipe off any excess. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do next after this. Because we used to do this on all the heavy equipment. Once we figured out it wasn't necessarily the gaskets that was leaking, because we could put new gaskets on and the next day we'd have oil leaks around everything, and we couldn't figure out what was going on until a little bit further investigation showed that it wasn't just that. Now, we have a little bit of gasket maker stuff around every one of these holes. I went and hunted up a brand new flat washer, a small one, that'll just fit through that little 5/16 inch bolt right there. And that flat washer, when down against that gasket stuff, will help to seal that off in the tops of this thing. And help stop some of that oil leakage that we have there. Don't tighten nothing down until you get them all in here. Now don't get too big of a washer, flat washer, because this plate has a little bit of a lip that rises up around it. And if that flat washer is too big in diameter, that rise up in that plate will keep it from tightening down like it's supposed to. I'm all about taking every precaution that I can. Because if there's one thing I don't like, is to look at something and see oil where it's run out, dripped out, leaked out all around on something. I just don't like that. I must have got a little dirt in one of them threads. There we go. When I was spraying that out, I guess some of it sprayed up in there. I usually run a tap down through everything, but I didn't, because these felt pretty good. Just remember this plate. If this part right here is not good and flat, see that little tiny, see that little hole right there? There's a little dimple in the top of that transmission cover there. That's what holds. Get this down. That's what holds that thing from wobbling around on there. Now this one, there's really no need to put a washer on top of this one because it has that flat plate on it already. All right, we're going to tighten her down there now. I like to tighten my middles first, because it seems like if there's ever going to be a problem, it's going to be one of these middle bolts around here where it's going to be leaking at. I see the gasket stuff squirting out around all the way around this thing, so that tells me I'm getting a pretty good seat on everything. All right, we'll come back now. I'm gonna wipe all that up, and I'm gonna get her painted, because guys, I can't see any sense in fixing something if you're not going to go ahead and paint it right behind it. Because I took most of the paint off of this that would come off with a wire wheel. Anything left there is stuck pretty good. We're going to get her painted up, make it look like it ought to look. If you're going to do a job, you need to do it right. Alright guys, there we are. Once it dries, it'll look like the rest of the tractor. It'll turn that dark color. Right now it's just fresh paint. It looks bright. But we've got it all taken care of now. That'll conclude the installation of a transmission top gasket and cleaning the top of the transmission and making sure that you have your oil holes open back up and everything. Sure was an eye-opener for me, and I know it will be for you too. If you take your top off and look, it ain't no big deal. Just order you a gasket, or if you got a kit to make a gasket with, make you a gasket. Get in there and check to make sure them bearings are oiling in the top of that transmission. Thank you guys from Pecan Grove.